Now I know Tim Hortons has fallen out of favor with certain crowds and things, but all good road trips still start at Tim Hortons. And this road trip is starting in Hanna, Alberta, where we are here for day one of our Alberta Ghost Town tour.
Fuel up for the big exploration day.
Yeah, no one else is here yet, but we're assuming there's probably only one Tim Hortons in Hanna, so we think we're at the right one. We're just early.
Oh, now we know who we're dealing with. I love you, but
That's the only way Allan eats, I think, is on the run.
No, we are no lots.
Our first stop on this weekend's tour is going to be right in the town of Hanna itself at the Seymour Hotel. A detailed history of the Seymour Hotel is something that's been a little difficult to track down, at least without doing a lot more research than I've been able to put into it. It seems to have opened around 1913, and I did find articles in the local newspaper discussing its potential demolition as early as 2011 and 2012. So it's pretty safe to say the old Seymour has been abandoned for well over a decade. While it's mostly home to pigeons and mice and God knows what else right now, the best feature of this hotel is the classic neon sign that sits at the southwest corner, its arrow proudly proclaiming hotel. That must have been quite a sight to people stepping off the train here in Hanna. So, fresh off our quick stop at the Seymour Hotel, now it's time to check out the museum here in Hanna. Museum here is a great little facility. It's kind of like following through a maze here through all these buildings and seeing what's next around the next corner. And a good selection of rusty equipment. You have to have a good selection of rusty equipment.
I was in there 2 weeks ago. You have a thresh machine?
Any more pain.
Hi, Allan! Interesting historical fact, this bandstand over my shoulder is actually the location where Nickelback played their very first show here in their hometown of Hanna, Alberta. Not true at all. Time to head inside and check out the main building. We actually own a couple Edison wax cylinders, and one of my goals in life is to one day get access to one of these old players to be able to hear what they sound like.
Get you started and I'll bring up the rear. That's fine. Okay, thanks. And Ashlyn will be here too in a few minutes.
I think it's under this powder. Okay.
It's more than just Nickelback. Okay.
This display really makes me want to get back to the Gopher Museum in Torrington, Alberta and film a video there. An albino badger mounted in 1909. Ever had any doubts about what the sun does to your photos? You can see what that's done to the wall there. I think there was a picture there at one time. Touring the ranch house here on the museum site. Love how they used to heat the upper floors in these pioneer homes. Just cut a hole in the floor so the heat from the main level could rise up into the upper floors.
Oh, I like that chair.
And oh, how have building codes changed over the years. You would never get away with building a staircase this steep in a modern home.
So get warm downstairs.
Told you I sound mean.
Yeah, you're tough mom.
Try.
Your age difference. Yeah, teachers did get like a short end of the stick or hurry before.
I mean, if you love the kids, awesome. I hope it's worth it.
Yeah, exactly. Which is kind of ironic that you couldn't be married, that you're supposed to love kids when you teach, so kind of. We want to leave the poem up so people can
That's
read it.
cool. In the day, it was vandalism. Today, that's cool.
It's funny how things change.
Uh-huh.
It depends on how you... Yeah, because there are like some carvings.
Dr. Argue. Yeah. It's like you walk in. I'm not feeling well. Yes, you are. Are you sure? No, you're fine. But I don't feel well.
That was my doctor.
Oh, really?
Yeah. It's the one that,
Help me.
brought me into the world.
Oh, wow.
That they don't...
That's cool.
But they don't put down Dr. Wilkins on that.
Yeah.
They just show as soon as Mr. Wilkins, according to Wilkins. The others are like, oh gosh, go to the hotel? No.
Yeah,
Where does he work now?
Yeah, you cheap buggers.
Allan.
Oh. It's what, metal?
Is it Everett?
Yeah, we are the one.
Okay, so where exactly was this one? It was in the
Oh, you're not, now you're breaking things.
south of here, I think. No, this is not. This is not good. No falling asleep in this church.
Well, the Catholic church, they had the bar there and you have to.
Yeah.
Yeah,
This is, you don't fall asleep in this church. No. 8 people, 6 sisters grew up in this station.
Wow.
And there's 4 bedrooms upstairs. This is the living quarters, like the kitchen, dining room area, and then upstairs, and then this is the business end of it.
Ow. That was my head.
He's ready to pack around.
Allan the model.
With his little Elvis curl going there.
Oh, yeah. Into the caboose we go. This is as good a place as any to put a quick end to our visit here to the Hannah Museum. There's probably more to see, but my battery is low, so I'm going to throw the car back in. I'm going to throw the phone back in the car so it can start charging before we get to our next destination. Netherby Cemetery in memory of the pioneers of Garden Plain and District, 1966. So the earliest grave that we found had a burial date of 1923. So that kind of gives you an idea as to the era that the cemetery dates from. gonna head over now and check out the school slash church. A lot of these served dual purposes back in the day. This one here, I do believe, was in the film Why Shoot the Teacher? I think the school may have been moved since the film was shot, but this is the same school as far as my sources tell me.
Yeah, it's really cool. I like the color.
Yeah, very traditional school color.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah, they use that color paint in a lot of different schools. Still one chalkboard intact. Part of the... why do I always freak out when there's birds? Even though I know there's birds in every building. Some of the old chimney. And a whole whack of bird crap, which should have been my first indication. A whole lot of bird activity.
Yeah, that was amazing.
It's kind of interesting. The only thing left of the ceiling is the trap door. Which I...
You even had good tires on the journey, but it was just, it's just not worth it.
No, because especially when you're kind of off in the middle of nowhere kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's not worth it.
Why you always have this droopy eyes, kind of? Huh?
That's just the way he is. He's always has been.
So cool.
It's lunchtime here in Garden Plain, Alberta, at the old community center. Most activity this place has probably seen in a number of years. So yeah, it's been a great day so far. The rains have held off. It's actually getting kind of warm out. It's fantastic.
Dog.
Tucker's wanting lunch too. This is one of those buildings that earns what we call a VBR award, or Victim of a Bad Renovation. Look at that metal Quonset hut. Added on with absolutely no consideration for the historic value and look of the building. Well, the steps look a little sketchy, but you know the rule about always try the lock. No such luck this time. That lock is in bad shape. It just turns and turns and turns. A place where the sounds of children playing once echoed across the prairie, today is home only to the wind, constant, never-ending, blowing across the flats. Okay, I will give this a try and see what happens. Alright, here we go. See if I can get my leg. Whoa, it actually works. Would you look at that? Now, I'm not exactly well balanced here, but there's still some life in this old teeter-totter, or seesaw, whatever you call it where you're from. So, you know I'm required to ask. There's an old fridge in the garage. Are you willing to open it for us?
Yeah, not the rest
Oh,
here.
thank
You
you.
also take some jelly made of mango.
Thanks. Here you go.
Jelly made of
You can
mango.
have one.
One more for you.
Okay,
Where is it?
thank you. Over in behind here. Uh-huh. We never know. Here we go. What's in the fridge? A lot of bugs and baking soda. And
Well, at least it's keeping it like kind of
that
fresh.
must just be a... Okay, now that Allan has opened the
Yeah, open it
fridge,
again.
and it's
It's empty.
more empty than Al Capone's vault. But I'm glad Allan is brave enough to do
Because
this.
Dan is a bit like on the afraid side of opening a fridge.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Donna was pointing out this was an old concession stand.
Concession stand.
I thought it was a garage at first, but yeah, you can see over there that door didn't actually go all the way down. It was just a concession stand.
You want me to now?
These exploration weekends involve a lot of stopping on the road to look at random old buildings. It's fantastic. Walking is okay, so that means we're all right to cross the fence and walk in here to take a look at this half a school, or less than half a school probably. Might be a little hard to read the sign, but it's 1918 to 1942.
There was a couple houses I came from. I was there, and there was a couple there, and an older lady. They were there paying respect to the husband. Can I help you? And
I apologize, the audio is going to suck from here on out, mainly because of the wind, but I will try and remember to use my hat to block the wind as best I can. But this is Ndiang, Alberta. So the town did a really nice job of putting up these historical signs that give you some of the history of the buildings that were here, some old photos, and some information. Looks like it was done for their centennial back in 2010. Checking out the post office here. Hours of operation are a little sketchy, but you can see perhaps mostly my reflection, so that's not going to be any useful. Here's another sign, number 7, restaurant, library, bank, number 8, millinery shop, beauty parlor, and number 9, the red and white store and post office. And with a little imagination, you can kind of see the outline of the building there being right on the corner. And it does say down here the post office is still in operation, and that almost looks like the same building. We're on the corner. You can see there's the 2 windows that have been slightly shrunk since that photo was taken, but the indented doorway and the building sitting on the corner, it's not beyond the realm of possibility that that is the building from that 1920s photograph on the sign. And this little park on the corner is the site of the William Foster's hotel from 1926. Was destroyed by fire in 1947 and never rebuilt. If you've been following along on some of my other accounts, you know I'm a big fan of old prairie hotels and trying to capture them while they still exist. This one's been gone for a long time, but this is where it stood. Of course, another thing you'll know about me is I love old service stations, and this looks like one here on the corner of Railway and Main, which was often the most important intersection in town back in the day. So I'm not going to read you this entire history of the Ndiang Motor Service, but we'll just say that it operated here from 1926 up until 1993. So I'm going to go out on a limb and assume that this is the original building there as well. The Ndiang Motor Services, service station, etc., dating from the 20s, operating up until the 90s, and still standing here today in 2019. So here I'm on the corner of Railway and Main, and it gives a history of what was here. There were stockyards, the grain elevators, an Imperial Oil bulk station, and of course a railway station. So you can imagine looking here, there were the 3 grain elevators all lined up. All of them opened in 1925. So, man, in 1925, this town was booming. Railway Street, as it stands today, here along the north side. No sign of grain elevators. There's horses now instead of cattle, and the train tracks and the train station long since gone. That's what makes Ndiang such a cool little ghost town. There was a lot here, not much evidence of it left now. This is a really cool old fifth wheel trailer. I'd love to get closer and get a closer look at it, but you know, it's on manicured lawn, so it's clearly somebody's property, so I'm just going to shoot it from out here on the old sidewalk. But I've never seen one quite like that before. That is really unique. And this picture here shows Ndiang Trading Company, which operated under that name from 25 to 82. And if we look just over here a little bit, there is the old building, still standing there, looking not much different than it did back in that photo. Ruthie's Roost, now closed, no longer in operation, but the building is still there and it's for sale if anybody wants to take a chance and start something here. So that's going to complete our little walk around Ndiang. Great little town. If you get a chance to ever check it out, come enjoy it. I'd say patronize the businesses, but I don't really think there are any businesses around much anymore. But it's a great town. See what was here, look at the signs, and we'll off to the next place. Great old lumber company here. I don't know. I can make out the word lumber. The entrance here is kind of a little deadly there, so I'm just gonna reach the camera in from a distance and take a look inside. There you go. Not much left to see there. Come on down to the Dan O'Can Lumber Store, where your dollar will help you buy more in Buy More. And once you think you've got all the lumber you'll need, you need to come back and buy more. Yes, it's Buy More Alberta and Dan O'Can Lumber Company.
Yeah, just tell us something. Bye.
Bye. Bye. So unlike in Ndiang, where the hotel burnt down in the 40s and was never rebuilt, this original 2-story Prairie Hotel still stands here at the corner of Railway and Main in Buy More. We are at St. Peter's Lutheran Church near Scapa, Alberta. And as you're going to see in a second, my drone flying around the church attracted quite a crowd. All these cattle scattered when we first arrived on scene. But as the drone was coming in for a landing, they all came up to the fence to check out the action and see what was going on. This church has a fascinating history. It was originally built in the Wetaskiwin area in 1911. When that congregation was disbanding in 1920, they needed to dispose of their church. So a group from the congregation of Dowling Lake, which was the original name of Scapa, actually traveled to Wetaskiwin and with the help of a contractor removed the roof and the steeple of the church, cut the walls and floor into 8-foot sections, loaded everything onto a railway flat car, and transported the church to nearby Craigmile. They then took all those pieces and brought them out to the current site on a horse-drawn sleigh. And on May the 15th, 1921, they dedicated St. Peter's Lutheran Church. and the last regular service was held in 1978. Let's go take a closer look at the church, shall we? And this one is bolted and latched, but not locked, at least until you get inside here, at which point we can't go any further, but we can try and peek in through the window. You'll notice there's no pews, it's all chairs.
Someone's gonna come.
If I had been actually locked in, I could just get it.
After hearing it for a couple hours, you're gonna figure maybe there's a reason we should come up here.
Yep. Wow, that one takes a lot to get it to ring. No, we can't. It's all blocked off from the front, but so it's been. I think it looks like they were using it for grain storage, because they put wires up to support the walls, but it's really intact inside. The chalkboards are there. It's painted that same color as the other school by Garden Plain. For an abandoned places photographer, this is hitting like two of the big high points. We're talking abandoned house and canola fields in bloom. There's the canola, and over there, there's the abandoned house. So this is interesting. It had like a 2-story chimney on it, kind of thing.
Yeah,
like
I see a.
there's one hole there next to that window,
Oh yes, look at that.
and then
Yes.
another hole right above it on the second floor. Still steps heading to the basement. Not that I would want to go down there. Just wanted to take the opportunity to say thanks for watching. That's the end of day one. We're just going to go back into Hannah, grab something to eat, and then carry on tomorrow. So it's going to be another great day. Thanks for sticking around. Anything you want to add?
It was an awesome day, full of cool things to see and great people.
Right on.